Taiwan celebrities involved in draft dodging scandal. Taiwan Babysitter sisters sentenced in toddler abuse death. C.T.B.C. chairman Jeffrey Koo Jr. sentenced for land deal fraud. Hamas releases American-Israeli hostage. Brazil's president seeks indestructible ties with China. Trump grants refugee status to first group of white South Africans. U.S.-China breakthrough sends tech and chip stocks soaring. World's first commercial-scale E-Methanol plant opens in Denmark.
Hello everyone, I'm Oceana. Thank you for joining us on Funday News. It is Wednesday, May 14th. Donate a day's wages to Charity Day, and here are our top stories. And for today's Taiwan news, Taiwanese actor Darren Wang is under investigation for alleged draft dodging by paying a group to help him evade military service. Police raids on May 14th brought in several suspects, including boy band member Li Quan and singer Chen Lingjiu. The case involves multiple entertainers and investigations are ongoing. Two sisters were sentenced for abusing a one-year-old boy to death. Liu Caixuan, the babysitter, received life imprisonment. Her sister, Liu Ruoling, got 18 years. Judges said the sisters abused the child for pleasure and showed severe malice. There was no reconciliation, and the court assessed a limited chance of rehabilitation. The verdict can be appealed. Jeffrey Koo Jr., chairman of C.T.B.C. Charity Foundation, was sentenced to 7 years and 8 months for illegal profits in a 100 million NTD land deal. The Taipei District Court also imposed an 8-month travel ban. The case stems from the Red Fire scandal. The verdict can be appealed. And in global news, an American-Israeli soldier held hostage for more than 19 months in the Gaza Strip was released by Hamas on Monday. Eden Alexander, who is believed to be the last living U.S. citizen held captive in Gaza, was handed over to Red Cross representatives in the enclave's southern city of Khan Yunis. The 21-year-old was then transferred to its special forces inside the Gaza Strip. President Donald Trump congratulated Alexander's wonderful parents, family, and friends on his release.
And he's coming home to his parents, which is really great news. I mean, to me, it's big news. They thought he was dead.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, calling Alexander's release a very moving moment, said the release was achieved thanks to our military pressure and the political pressure exerted by President Trump. Shortly after Alexander was freed, the militant group said that the move was part of the steps being taken to achieve a ceasefire, open the crossings, and allow aid into the Gaza Strip. It added, "We urge the Trump administration to continue its efforts to end this brutal war." Israel on Monday paused its military operations, including airstrikes and drone artillery, in Gaza ahead of the release.
The Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has expressed his desire to build indestructible relations with China as the leaders of 3 of Latin America's biggest economies flew to Beijing against the backdrop of Donald Trump's trade war and the profound international uncertainty his presidency has generated. Lula touched down in China's capital on Sunday for a 4-day state visit, accompanied by 11 ministers, top politicians, and a delegation of more than 150 business leaders.
Addressing hundreds of Chinese and Brazilian business leaders in the Chinese capital on Monday, Lula criticized Trump's tariffs, saying he could not accept the measures that the president of the U.S. tried to impose on planet Earth from one day to the next. The Brazilian leftist said he hoped to build an indispensable relationship with China, already Brazil's top trading partner, and heaped praise on his Communist Party hosts, as his officials announced $4.6 billion of Chinese investment in their country. On Tuesday, Lula is scheduled to meet China's leader, Xi Jinping, who is expected to return the visit in July when he travels to the BRICS summit in Rio.
The first group of white South Africans granted refugee status by Donald Trump's administration has arrived in the U.S., stirring controversy in South Africa, as the U.S. president declared the Afrikaners victims of a genocide. The Afrikaners, a minority descended mainly from Dutch colonists, were met at Dulles International Airport outside Washington, D.C. by U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau and Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security Troy Edgar, with many given U.S. flags to wave.
On the same day the group arrived in the U.S., Trump's government also ended legal protections that had temporarily shielded Afghans from deportation, citing an improved security situation in the country, which is now ruled by the Taliban. One reason given for resettling Afrikaners, but not Afghans, was that they could be easily assimilated into our country. Trump suspended the U.S. refugee resettlement program in January, leaving more than 100,000 people approved for resettlement stranded. Then, in February, he signed an executive order directing officials to grant refugee status to Afrikaners, whose leaders ruled during apartheid while violently repressing the black majority.
Global technology and chip stocks rallied on Monday after the U.S. and China agreed to pause most tariffs on each other's goods. Technology stocks, such as semiconductor firms and smartphone makers, had been hit hard as trade tensions between the world's two largest economies threatened to disrupt supply chains and hurt some of the biggest U.S. businesses. But investors breathed a sigh of relief after talks between the U.S. and China over the weekend yielded a temporary pause on reciprocal tariffs.
In the U.S., Nvidia, which still faces a number of restrictions on the chips it is allowed to ship to China, was around 4% higher in pre-market trade, while AMD was up 5%. Broadcom was also around 5% higher, along with Qualcomm. Other companies in the semiconductor supply chain also jumped. Marvell surged 7.5% in pre-market trade. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the world's largest chipmaker, saw its U.S.-listed shares jump around 4% in the pre-market. TSMC's Taiwan-listed stock had closed before the tariff announcement. U.S.-listed Chinese tech stocks also surged, with Chinese e-commerce giants Alibaba and JD.com trading higher, alongside internet firm Baidu.
The world's first commercial-scale E-Methanol plant began operations in Denmark on Tuesday, with shipping giant Maersk set to purchase part of the production as a low-emission fuel for its fleet of container ships. The shipping sector is under pressure to find new sources of fuel after a majority of countries backed measures to help meet the International Maritime Organization's targets for eliminating carbon emissions by 2050. Located in Kaso, southern Denmark, the new plant is estimated to have cost $167 million.
So far, zero-emission shipping fuels like green ammonia and e-methanol, which are produced using renewable energy, have been more expensive than conventional fuels, primarily because they are not yet produced at scale. The plant will produce 42,000 metric tons, or 53 million liters, of e-methanol annually. Maersk will be a major customer, operating 13 dual-fuel methanol container vessels that can run on both fuel oil and e-methanol, and has ordered an additional 13 vessels. It stated that the plant's annual production will be enough to power one large 16,000 container vessel sailing between Asia and Europe.
The answer for yesterday was C, turmoil. The country was in turmoil after the sudden political crisis. Did you answer correctly? Now let's delve into today's news. Brazil's president seeks indestructible ties with China. Number 1. Backdrop, 背景, 舞台背景, 衬景. The summit took place against the backdrop of rising global tensions. Number 2. Delegation, 代表团, 委派, 授权. A trade delegation from Japan visited Taiwan to discuss new business opportunities. Number 3. Indispensable, 不可或缺的, 必须的. Good communication is indispensable in a successful team. Next, we have a multiple choice question for everyone to practice. Which answer would you choose? You can write your answer in the comment section, and the correct answer will be announced tomorrow. This day is part of the One Day's Wages movement, which started in 2009. It was created not only to celebrate the many organizations out there that do good, important work for the sake of others, it was also created to remind everyone that they had the power to change the world. Since one day's wages began, the day has grown as an international movement encouraging everyone to donate a single day's wages to charity. And that's all for today's Funday News. Be sure to tune into Funday News from Monday to Friday and click the link below to join Funday for free. I'm your host, Oceana, and I'll see you next time.